Hello all, and welcome back to the YouTube channel of All Day Chess TV. Today we're going to finish our Mate in 2. As you know, we've done 3 sets of Mate in 1 puzzles, and so far we've done 2 sets of Mate in 2, so today we're going to get our 3rd set of Mate in 2 up and running. By the way guys, thank you so much for the support lately, so it would mean a lot if you went and hit that subscribe button and liked the video and share it with your friends and family. And last but not least, if you want to practice more of these puzzles, be sure to check out our website, which will be in the description below. It may not look like we have a mate in 2, as our king is very far away compared to our queen and our pawn, right? And it doesn't look like our queen can do anything fancy by itself. But guys, remember we still have this pawn on g7, and it can promote, which is one of its special abilities. Right, so we can promote it into either of these pieces. We can promote it into a queen, a knight, a rook, or a bishop, right? So we actually have a mate in two different ways here. We can either play promote and queen, and then after the king moves, we can deliver a very nice checkmate. Actually, even here, we can deliver a mate on h8 or h7 or on h2 or on h1. Right? Because let's say we play here, this queen guards all of this, and this queen guards all of this, and make sure to give a check. But also we can promote to a rook, right? Because let's say the king comes close to a rook, well, it's a checkmate. Because same thing, the rook takes care of all of these, and the queen takes care of all of these. Now let's move on to the next puzzle. In this puzzle, the black king isn't in the corner, so has more available space to go. Except this pawn on e4 sort of blocks it from coming to that square, and it can't come to f4, or g4, or g3, or g2, or f2, or e2, or e3. So basically, even though it's not in the corner of the board, it still can't go anywhere. And that's because the queen takes care of these two squares, and the queen takes care of this square, the knight takes care of this square, and the king takes care of this square and this square, and the queen and the king both take care of this square. And this pawn guards this square. So even if this pawn wasn't here, the queen would be guarding that square. And what would that be? Yup, you guessed it. That would have been a stalemate. So guys, the solution here is knight to e5, which gives the king one square to go to, this e3 square, and then we can deliver a very nice mate by playing queen to f2. This works here because the king can't come to d4 because of the queen. It can't come to f4 because of the queen. It can't come to d3 because of the knight. It can't come to f3 because of the knight and the queen. And it can't come to d2 or e2 because of the queen on d2 and the king and queen on e2. Now let's move on to the next puzzle. In this puzzle, we can see that black has this c5 pawn. Right away, I'm going to point that out because it's very important. And we have an extra knight and a queen, though they have one pawn. So we don't exactly have a queen and a knight. Okay, you get what I mean. So in this position, we need to try and give a checkmate in 2 moves. This black king is all the way here, and currently the c1 square is guarded by the knight and the queen, the b2 square is guarded by the queen, the a1 square is free, however, and so is the c2 square. So we need to try and guard all those squares, correct? But let's say we play a move like king to b3. Well, that's a good start, except after check, we'll have to move somewhere and it's not a mate in 2. But if you thought about king b3, you're very close. You just need to tweak your idea a little bit, right? So here we can actually play king to c3. As much tempting as it is to take this pawn on c5, either with your king or queen, it's the best option to bring your king into c3, just so that the king still has this a1 square if it wants to go there, but then it gets mated, right? But if it pushes c4, it also gets mated. So guys, this is this puzzle. I hope you enjoyed it, and let's move on. This puzzle is almost like an illusion. It tricks you a little bit, right? But you have to be warned. This is the white side, remember? 1 and 2. So that means this black pawn is coming this way, which also means this black pawn is guarding this square. So technically you might be thinking, oh, this is just queen, we can move our queen here. Except actually no, you can't, and you can see the valuation bar drops down like crazy. Because now you can just simply take. Yeah, it looks a little bit weird. But yeah, that's how it is, because the black pawn is coming down from here. So we need to try and find a mate in 2. This knight is very annoying, so we can't take this either because of this. But then this is a draw, because we can just simply take here, and it's king and king. But actually, here's a little tidbit fact. If we move our king away, this is still a draw, because black cannot checkmate you with this king and knight. Okay, anyway, back to the puzzle. So, we have to find a waiting move here with our king. There aren't many places we can go with our king. We can go here, 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 and here. If we go here, well, it's a mate in 8, as you can see. And if we go here, it's a mate in 8. And if we go here, there's no checkmate coming very soon. So, actually, the waiting move is king to f2. It's very brilliant because now black only has a couple of moves they can play. They cannot move this knight anywhere because this knight is pinned. Because if the knight moves, the king will be under attack, so you cannot do that. So that means you can only move your king and pawn. Let's say we move our pawn here. Now this pawn isn't guarding this square anymore, so we can bring our queen up to g2, and that's a checkmate. And if the king moves up to h2, then we can play queen takes g1. Be warned, guys, a single mistake, like queen g2, can cost you the game. Because after takes, the king will have to move somewhere else, and then you can even play some knight f3 move, because if the king takes, you can promote to a queen, like this. And now, it's black who's winning and has the checkmate. In future videos, if you guys would like, I'll do some endgame training. Okay, so now back to the puzzle. After king h2, we play queen takes g1, which is a wonderful checkmate. This would not be a checkmate without the help of our opponent. Yup, you heard me right. This h3 pawn is helping us out a lot, because if this h3 pawn wasn't there, this king could come to h3 and it wouldn't be a checkmate. Now, moving on to the next puzzle. This position is not so tricky as the last one. We have a queen and knight for a pawn, except this king is here, on the b5 square. As you can see, this knight takes control of this a6 square, the c6 square, and this queen takes care of all of these squares, and all of these squares, and this king takes care of all of these squares. Right, so if this pawn wasn't here, it'd be a stalemate. Though it's white's turn here, so it wouldn't be a stalemate, because for a stalemate, it needs to be the opponent's turn, and the opponent can't do anything. The nice move here is knight to d6. Now the knight takes control of these squares, correct? And if this pawn pushes up, we have queen takes b6 with an easy checkmate. And if the king moves to its only square, then we have queen to b6. Not queen takes b6, but just queen to b6 this time. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And make sure to go hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and like the video. And see you soon.